Eskom appears to have kept the lights on for the first time since Sunday. Let's hope we're not talking too soon right now. Rolling blackouts have caused chaos across the country, with unprecedented stage 4 load shedding taking place earlier this week. ENCA's Aviwe Mtila visited small businesses and households affected by load shedding. He joins me now from our newsroom. So, Aviwe, you've been doing something of a whistle-stop tour, getting a sense of how business has been coping, the various size business has been coping with load shedding. What did you find today?
Well, it's pretty much similar to what the sentiment has been for the rest of for the duration of this week. Basically, businesses are disgruntled, and businesses and people alike, normal citizens, everyone is disgruntled. People saying that they now have to change their plans in order to accommodate load shedding. Some have to wake up early in the morning and cook supper already, so that when that spate of load shedding hits them, they already have supper. But the downside of that is that they eat, of course, cold food when it comes to supper time. But in general, people have been disgruntled. Not only businesses and people, municipalities as well. City Power reporting that cable theft was on the rise this week, as well as Johannesburg Water saying that some parts are not able to receive water, especially the higher parts, parts that are in higher places, because they have to cut off pumps when load shedding occurs, meaning that the water won't be able to flow through to those places. But let's hear some of what people have had to say on the ground. Let's take a listen.
It affected us a lot because we coming from work, not cooking, and they don't even report to us that the load shedding is going to be. Since yesterday till now, there's no electricity, and we're supposed to go to work. Thanks.
And then just what's the one thing that you've missed the most during load shedding?
No, cooking, food. We've got children that we have to cook for them.
It's been a problem during the week because we have a lot of our systems that are based on electricity. We have just walking, the lights have gone off a lot of the time. We need our systems to monitor and to keep the records on the computer systems. A lot of our machinery, like ultrasound machines, X-ray machines, all dependent on electricity. So it is very difficult to practice without electricity.
So that's the reality then, that the customers of Eskom and other power providers such as City Power are facing. But what are we hearing, Aviwe, from the people at the coalface of the crisis? What has Eskom told us about how things are looking for the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend, and possibly into the coming weeks?
Well, speaking in general for the week, that's the disappointing part for me, especially as a journalist. Eskom is not sufficiently, I would expect at least by now, a week has passed by. I would expect some sort of media briefing to keep calm and stability in the country, whereas they notify citizens of exactly what is happening. So far, the communication that we're receiving is via a WhatsApp group so far, or me communicating with the spokesperson, Kulu Pasiwe, who's been very helpful, I might add. But in terms of assuring South Africans what's happening on the ground, that hasn't been happening. But so far for the weekend, when last I spoke to Kulu earlier this morning, he did mention that there is a possibility of load shedding over the weekend, even though today they've managed to keep the lights on.
All right, thank you so much for that update. That's ENCA's Aviwe Mtila, who's been tracking the situation in as far as power is concerned.